We're going to begin soon. It's 8:01. We'll be online soon. They're just checking. Jackson, estamos prontos por aqui. Quando você quiser começar, por favor, tá? We are hearing some noise in the back. I think it's you, Senator.
Just a moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me, does the Wi-Fi work outside? It works outside. This. Okay, done.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think that we are on air. Shall we begin? Jackson, I'm waiting for your instructions, please. Okay, so very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to be the moderator today of the Development Banks panel. We already had the opening with the an excellent presentation of Professor Dallari together with Professor Paulo Borba Casella. Also, we had a panel also with the consulates where we could learn a lot from each country's expectations about BRICS. And today we are here to learn from 4 special and unique distinguished guests about the development banks. So my name is Ricardo. I'm a researcher from the BRICS study group of the University of São Paulo. And we are going to talk about the development banks. The development bank is considered a national financial institution designed to provide medium and long-term capital for productive investment, often accompanied by technical assistance. The first development banks appeared in the mid-19th century in Europe. Since then, they have been playing a relevant role in the socio-economic development of the countries and regions where they act according to their different stages in scenarios of both stability and crisis. The Inter-American Development Bank, the IDB, the World Bank, the International Finance Corporation, as well known as IFC, among others, are addressing the real needs of the BRICS countries. In this scenario, what is the role and the impacts of the new development bank? And what about the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank? During this session of this 8th BRICS conference, there will be insightful debate about the development banks in this new order. And for that, I'm going to introduce our first keynote speaker, our distinguished guest, Senator Mushahid Hussain. I will read his resume. Professor and Senator Mushahid Hussain, he has served in various capacities as senator, editor, cabinet minister, and university professor. He was chief spokesman for Pakistan during the 1998 nuclear tests as Minister for Information, Culture, and Tourism. He has a master's degree in international relations from Georgetown University School of Foreign Service at Washington, D.C., USA. Senator Hussein, Mushahid Hussein, he was the youngest editor at the age 29 of a major national English newspaper, daily newspaper called The Muslim, published from Islamabad, which was respected for its independent position during the military regime. He served on the faculty of the Pakistan Administrative Staff College as member, directing staff, training foreign service officers, plus teaching at the Political Science Department of the Punjab University. He was also leader of Pakistan's delegation to the United Nations Human Rights Commission at Geneva. China's President Xi Jinping personally conferred on him the prestigious 5 Principles of Peaceful Coexistence Friendship Award at Islamabad on April 2015. Senator Mushahid Hussein was also elected in his personal capacity on 2 important global positions: co-chairman of International Conference of Asian Political Parties, the largest and oldest organization of Asian political parties. He was the vice president of 10-member Human Rights Committee of Inter-Parliament Union, representing Asia in the biggest organization of parliaments of the world. Amnesty International declared Mushahid Hussein prisoner of conscience due to his illegal arrest and detention without charges for 440 days. Senator Mushahid Hussein is founding chairman of 2 think tanks. The first one is Pakistan-China Institute, and the second one, the Pakistan-Africa Institute for Development and Research. Senator Mushahid Hussein, I'm honored to have you on board. The floor is all yours, and thank you again for this opportunity to learn from you. Thank you very much. Please unmute your phone before we begin. The floor is all yours, Senator.
Thank you, Professor Ricardo, and thank you other distinguished guests on the panel and those who are listening. It's my pleasure and privilege to be here on this very important gathering, which coincides with the BRICS summit, which is being convened in Kazan in Russia today. And I think the title that you have given at the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil, BRICS, A New Era, is quite apt. And thank you for your context, which provides the role of development banks and your kind words regarding my person. I'm sorry for any glitches because I'm traveling. There was a conference on Palestine hosted by President Erdogan, and I'm in Turkey, but I'm able to communicate virtually because of the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, the historical context has been already provided. I would like to just briefly provide the current context for the issue of development banks, which increasingly has become a geopolitical issue. And it has been heavily politicized. And I think this is linked with the current international political scenario that we see before us. If you look at the big picture, I was reminded of a very good story which was published by The Economist last summer. I think it was in June. They had a cover story. And basically they said that the Western-led liberal international order seems to be coming apart. And one of the key components of this Western-led liberal international order is the global financial system that, for the most part, especially after World War II, has been largely dominated by the West, led by the United States. And Professor Ricardo rightly mentioned the role of the IFC and the World Bank. And you know, the World Bank, when it started, it was called the IBRD, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. That was the official name. Then they shortened it to World Bank. And then, of course, there's the IMF, and there are other institutions, Inter-American Bank you also mentioned. So those were the banks which were supposed to be doing good. They were the do-gooders good Samaritans, helping developing countries, helping each other in the aftermath of World War II. And they were supposed to be raising the level of development, contributing to poverty alleviation, providing for a more equitable and just economic order at home and globally. So that was the context. And when we see this Economist article I referred to, the Western liberal international order coming apart, I'm also reminded of what President Xi Jinping recently said in China, that we are witnessing once in a century changes, changes which have not been seen for over 100 years. And basically the core of that message is that the global center of gravity in terms of politics, economy, is now shifting slowly but inexorably from the West to what is now being termed as the global South. Because, ladies and gentlemen, when these institutions appeared, the development banks, which were basically spawned and sponsored in the West, whether the World Bank, IMF, IFC, Inter-American Bank, they came at a time when there was no third world, no global South. The US was the sole superpower. There was hardly any African countries were independent, but it was a different world. Today's world is very different. And now I think that there have been some experiences of certain countries, and especially in the last few years, where the feeling is that the development banks have become instruments of control, instruments of coercion, and especially weaponizing the dollar. Now let's see the track record. These days, the global financial system is based on this, especially this transactions between countries. 11,000 banks in 200 countries use the SWIFT bank approach. And you have these transactions there, but now sanctions have taken place. I was seeing the statistics since 9/11, the United States has sanctioned 9,400 individuals all over the world, different people on different things. So they have no access to the global financial system like Visa, MasterCard, and so forth. After the Ukraine war, 382 billion worth of Russian assets were certainly taken over, assets which were in the West. And Russia was also taken off the SWIFT bank approach. Iran was taken off in 2018, I think it was there. So in that context, although Iran had not committed any crime as such, but the US had said that since the United States of America said, we are leaving this nuclear deal with Iran, and Iran is being punished with sanctions. So that was it. And no recourse to that. So in that context, it's becoming difficult for countries that perhaps do not see eye to eye with the West or the US on issues to operate. And this, I think, reminds me of a famous quote of the president of Brazil, President Lula, and I hope that he has a recovery soon because he can't go to the summit. And he says, and I quote what President Lula said, "Every night I ask myself why all countries have to base their trade on the dollar. Who was it that decided?" This is what he is saying. I think this is the core question that has emerged. And now the BRICS meeting, which is starting today, is going to first of all take seriously this issue of cross-border payments, financial settlements, and the alternative development banks that have emerged. So in the last 10 years, Professor Ricardo mentioned the New Development Bank. And in fact, I had a pleasant meeting with the president of the New Development Bank, who is from Brazil, the former president Dilma Rousseff, based in Shanghai. And then there's the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Both of the banks were blocked by the United States, but they have already started moving. And this would be their first major initiative. I would say that in the broader context, when we talk of the global financial system, the BRICS summit, which is starting today, and you talk of a new era, I would say the focus would be on what I call the 3 Ds. And I'll come to that. One is that the democratization in international relations of the global system, where it should not be based on the diktat or domination of one superpower or a handful of countries in the West, that they decide what is wrong, they decide what is the rules-based order, and we have seen that order has already been smashed to smithereens in the Gaza genocide, which has been committed by Israel still, televised genocide, with the help and assistance of the Western countries. So it shows the yawning chasm between what is professed and what is practiced. So that's number one. The second D I mentioned of BRICS, the new era challenges, demilitarization of international relations. After 9/11, after all these wars, there is still a militaristic or a security-centric worldview based on containment, based on conflict, based on the new Cold War, whether they try to dominate Russia in Europe or China in Asia. And the most key issue and the most doable issue is what I call the de-dollarization issue, which is going to be taken up. On de-dollarization, I would say that, please note, there are 193 members of the United Nations. 68 countries, which is 1/3, have already said that they are willing to trade with each other in currencies other than the United States dollar. And I'll give you one example of my own country, Pakistan and Russia. Pakistan bought oil from Russia last year, and we paid them in the Chinese currency, RMB. And then we also have developed barter, because the Chinese currency has also its own limitations. It's not that global, because 58% of the currency reserves in the world are US dollar, 58% still. So recently the Russians were buying some fruit from us, oranges, tangerines, and we were in return paying them with lentils and chickpeas, So barter is also, this has become a new element, So new ways are being developed. And now I believe that this BRICS bridge system is also being focused on, because they are also saying that the system should be based on a cheap, a faster way, and a way of communication which is not controlled. Because right now, if you have any dealing with the US dollar, there is a corresponding bank in the United States. So every transaction on the US dollar in international financial system is duly monitored, duly controlled, and duly then can be stopped, can be blocked in a jiffy, as they say, as happened after the Ukraine war with the Russians, because Visa, MasterCard just pulled out one fine morning, and it was the end of the whole thing. So that, I think, has become a key thing. And the Chinese are the ones who are building this software for that. Maybe they're talking of a new cross-border payments platform, which should be digital. The Chinese are providing them, I believe the People's Bank of China has given a proposal also. And recently, just before the BRICS summit in Moscow, there was a 40-page document also prepared on an alternative financial system. And in this, the role of these development banks is going to be key. Now, frankly, it's a long haul. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not an event. It's a process which has begun now, that the countries of the global south, spearheaded by China, led by Russia, and other countries also, are now feeling, and including, frankly, Arab countries, which were very close to the United States. Saudi Arabia and UAE are also playing that role. And by the way, after 50 years, Saudi Arabia, which has been the closest ally of the United States in all respects since 1945, since last 70 years, they have finished the issue of the petrodollars when they talked of oil transactions in the US dollar. So that has also been a sea change. So when we take this issue forward, what are the possibilities? I would say that in BRICS right now, I was given to understand that other countries are on board. The Russian will present a mechanism where these development banks will be at the forefront to promote a new global financial system, an alternate global financial system of cross-border payments particularly, that would not be subservient to the Western system. But I feel that there are certain problems because India and some other countries are not fully on board. But what we are witnessing, ladies and gentlemen, I think are the building blocks today of an alternate global emerging order that is based in the global south and that now is so empowered politically and financially and otherwise also collectively that they feel that they can present these alternatives. So this is going to be the very important element because one of the bases of the United States hegemony, US domination, US control is the almighty dollar. And if the almighty dollar is weakened or it is undermined through this system, then I think we are really looking at the emergence of a new global order. And I think BRICS is one of the building blocks, a key pillar of the new emerging order. For their part, the Chinese have already presented the Belt and Road Initiative. It is about connectivity. They have put in $2 trillion, 3,000 projects. The Americans, when they were busy making the Belt and Road Initiative, the Americans were wasting money with the $6.5 trillion squandered in the so-called war on terror. So I think that will be very important. But I think whoever wins the American presidential elections on 5th of November, irrespective of that, this process that has been unleashed today in Kazan in Russia, this is not going to be reversed. This is not going to be stopped because I think most of these global South countries, especially China and Russia, have taken a strategic decision to move forward and build that alternate order. So I think that in that regard, a lot of people here, and especially Professor Ricardo and his talented team and the University of Sao Paulo and other friends in other parts of the global South will have a lot of strategic thinking to do on the building blocks of this new global order. So on that context, I will stop and I will thank again my good friend, Professor Ricardo, for taking this very timely initiative. And it's been a pleasure here. And I'm still here to listen to some other presentations. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Senator Mushahid Hussain. I feel sorry for everyone that is just having the opportunity to listen to our distinguished guests for 15, 20 minutes because it's a life learning process. Thank you very much. I will quote Senator Mushahid Hussain telling about the global center of gravity in terms of these instruments of control, which is the weaponizing of the US dollar. And I also, it was a very insightful thing when you mentioned, Senator, about the 3Ds, the democratization of international relations, the demilitarization of the international relations, and also the de-dollarization. A lot of insights from your presentation. And with that, I'm gonna pass the floor also to our distinguished guest, Professor Jiejing Zhu. Professor Zhu, he is a professor of the School of International Relations and Public Affairs and the Deputy Director of the Center for UN and International Organization Studies at Fudan University. His research interests are in international organizations, global governance, international political economy, BRICS and G20. He has published 5 books and over 60 papers in academic journals, including the Pacific Review, Global Policy, International Organization Research Journal, World Economics and Politics in Chinese, the Foreign Affairs Review, also in Chinese, among others. Professor Zhu has done the research project China's Proposal for G20's Institutional Transition, which is sponsored by China National Social Science Foundation, China's Path Selection in Global Governance Reform, which is sponsored by Shanghai Social Science Foundation, and the institution building of the BRICS New Development Bank, which is founded by China International Development Research Network. Currently, Professor Chu is doing the research on China's rise and global governance reform. Professor Chu, I'm honored to have you on board. Please, the floor is all yours. Welcome to this Development Banks panel of the 8th Conference of the BRICS of the University of São Paulo.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Ricardo, and also thank you to other great panelists. Just now, Mr. Senator has discussed, I think, is a broader context of the BRICS cooperation and also the development bank, the BRICS new development bank. Or, as Mr. Senator says, it's a big picture. So I want to go to the small points or go to the more details of the BRICS new development bank and its membership expansion. So my presentation will include two parts, the NDB and now currently. It is also talking about the membership expansion. BRICS in Kazan today and tomorrow also talking about the membership expansion, but that's the BRICS membership expansion. So here, the BRICS New Development Bank. Until now, I think since the BRICS cooperation, if we calculate since the year 2006, the BRICS foreign ministers meeting at the first time, and then the year 2009, the BRIC leaders meeting in Russia. Now, during the past over 15 years, what the BRICS has achieved. Beyond the speeches, declarations, communiques, leaders, declarations, those things, the new development bank, until now, headquartered in Shanghai, is the most tangible outcome of the BRICS cooperation. Since its establishment in the short period, NDB now currently it's a fully functional multilateral development bank or the new international organization. I usually say BRICS like the parents, they need to give the birth to the children. Otherwise, the marriage cannot be sustainable. The many conflicts, the different opinions within the group, how to make the group sustainable. So they need the babies, such as the new development bank. As a multilateral development bank established by the Global South, the developing countries, NDB will continue to support infrastructure and sustainable development among the BRICS countries and other developing countries. As of the June 30, 2023, NDB Board of Directors has approved 98 projects in all the member countries for a total amount exceeding the $32 billion US. Operational area of the new development bank, transport infrastructure occupies 33%. COVID-19 emergency assistance, 27%, multiple area, 11%, clean energy and energy efficiency, 11%, water and sanitation, 9%, environmental protection, 4%, social, 4%, digital, 1%. By country, we look at the BRICS New Development Bank. There are projects among the BRICS countries. China now occupies 26% of the NDB projects, India 24%, Brazil 19%, South Africa 16%, Russia 15%. By type, sovereign loan 86%, non-sovereign 13%. So respond to the COVID-19. I think the NDB during the past several years, the COVID-19 proves that the new development bank from the crisis response perspective, I think it's working smoothly and compared with other multilateral development bank like the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, Inter-American Development Bank, I think the BRICS New Development Bank in the COVID-19 the crisis response has proved pretty good. So what is new for the BRICS New Development Bank? You know the name, the New Development Bank. It's a very ambitious name. You know it means that this multilateral development bank established by the BRICS countries, it is new. In terms of what? As also Ricardo and Mr. Senator just now mentioned that, what is a new world order or the multipolar? I think for the New Development Bank, you know, equal shareholding, that's very new. Look at the World Bank, IBRD, or the other multilateral development banks, you know, the EBRD, EIB, ADB, you know, they are all the powerful country will have more votes. We call the weighted voting. While the BRICS New Development Bank, it's equal shareholding. It means China, you know, India, Russia, Brazil, South Africa, you know, these 5 countries, if you compare the GDP or the economic size, they are, you know, very different. But in the New Development Bank, they hold the equal shareholding. So equal capital subscription among the founding members. The comparative advantage of the bank is it's not the China's baby or the India's baby. It's the BRICS baby. Otherwise, you know, look at the World Bank. We usually talk about World Bank is Americans' baby, or the Asian Development Bank. That's the Japanese and the Americans' baby. While the BRICS Bank, it's not the, you know, one country's baby. It's 5 countries' baby, and also no member holds veto power. And also now, currently, with the new members, the shareholding, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, now it's 18.98. Bangladesh, Egypt, UAE, as the new members of the BRICS New Development Bank, their shareholding compared with the founding members, I think is much smaller. That's natural. And high capitalization of the bank. For the BRICS New Development Bank, 100 billion US dollars authorized capital, and subscribed 50 billion, paid in capital 10 billion. Credit rating, you know, if you compare the multilateral development banks, the BRICS New Development Bank compared with the other multilateral development bank, the credit rating from the Fitch Standard Poor, that's AA plus. AA plus means what? I think compared with the World Bank, it's not so good. World Bank is a AAA. But if you look at the, you know, the BRICS countries, you know, the individual credit rating, you know, like Russia, like Brazil, India, China, I think, you know, AA plus is pretty good for their baby, you know, the New Development Bank. So why the New Development Bank, the credit rating, I think compared with their founding members is much better. I think due to the conservative risk management, sound the governance structure, and also the institutional innovation, like the local currency financing. It means that now the BRICS New Development Bank is trying to use the non-dollars. It means if the projects in China, then they try to use the RMB. If in India, it will use the Indian local currency. So support the financial markets of the member countries, and financing in the local and hard currencies. And also the innovation or the new of the New Development Bank is the use of the country system. Country system means if the projects is in India, then they will use the Indian environmental law, the social, the standards like the gender equality, the labor standards, or it's very different from the World Bank. World Bank use they call the international best standards. Frankly, from the developing country perspective, that's the developed country standards or the American standards. They try to use the multilateral development bank to transfer the American standards to the developing countries, while the BRICS New Development Bank is called the South-South Cooperation. No any country can transfer its domestic or local standards to other countries. So we are equal. We use a country system. Country system means different projects will use different standards. And also funding strategy. Now currently, yes, the issue the bonds in the international capital market, and also the issue the bonds in the local currency, like in the renminbi, RMB bonds, and also in South Africa in rand bonds. Now they are trying to issue the bonds in India and Brazil and Russia, but until now it's still in the paper. So general strategy of the BRICS New Development Bank in the next 5 years, by the end of the 2026, it will 40% projects will be in climate change. And then female representation of the New Development Bank by 2026 will 40%, and 30 billion will be in the local currency rather than the US dollars. And then co-finance with other multilateral development bank 20%. So BRICS membership expansion. This is the Carson and also last year Johannesburg talking about the BRICS should expand with more global South countries. What is the standards for the BRICS? So including many countries apply for the membership of the BRICS, like Turkey and Thailand, many others. Emerging markets and developing countries. First, if you want to join the BRICS, the BRICS is not the developed country or the West. It's emerging markets and developing countries. Secondly, you should support multilateralism, and also it should be powerful country. It means at least regionally, this is a powerful country, because if very small countries, I think this club is not the G77 or those developing countries club. This is the leading or the emerging powers or the emerging markets power club, and also support global governance reform. So this is last year the story of the membership expansion. China has been proposing the BRICS membership expansion for a long time, since the 2017 Xiamen summit. So at the beginning, China proposed the BRICS Plus. At that time, originally China wants to expand the BRICS, while India is not so active in this aspect. Forgive me if I'm too frank. So China and South Africa last year, South Africa is rotating presidency of the BRICS summit. The South Africa pushed the agenda of the BRICS membership, and also Russia, the initial nomination or the candidates priorities: Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, and also Argentina. China, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, and Argentina and Egypt. India initial list was UAE, Indonesia, and the other 3 countries. I don't know. I got the information from the Indian diplomat. He published in the English journal. South Africa initial list was 3 countries under Indonesia. So every country, initiate Indonesia. But finally, last year, Indonesia itself refused to join. Under Saudi, strong support from China, Iran, regional balance proposed by India and Russia. Ethiopia, finally, because Ethiopia is, the African, representativeness. That's last year summit was in Africa. So finally, 6 members. I think it's balance of power. The BRICS still, China is not the leader. China is not dominating because if you look at the new members, it's very balance of power. Some countries support this one, some others support others. Saudi Arabia, Iran, UAE, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Argentina. Argentina this year refused to join. So conclusion, BRICS New Development Bank, this is the most tangible cooperation achievement in the past 15 years. I think it has showing the world, the BRICS can do something, can as the name, the new development bank can do something new as in the development bank. And also the BRICS membership expansion. Now the new BRICS, we call the bigger BRICS. Finally, I want to emphasize that BRICS is not against the West, is also not against the United States, while the consensus of the BRICS is to push the global governance reform. Because the current global governance system was established in the 1944, 1945, IMF, World Bank, United Nations, that's after the Second World War. It should change. 80 years has passed, while the governance, structure still reflects the post-Second World War. So with the rise of these new developing countries, they want to push this global governance reform process. So this is, I think, the core or mandate of the BRICS Corporation and also the BRICS New Development Bank. Thank you very much.
Wow, what a lesson. Thank you very much, Professor Chu. Great insights with your presentation here. It was really good to learn more about the New Development Bank and also the BRICS membership expansion. And I quote from your speech that beyond speeches, declarations, and communiques, right? So the BRICS somehow we are doing some proactive programs, which is very positive. And the New Development Bank is a tangible outcome, as you well said during your presentation. And definitely there is a consensus between the BRICS countries that is to push the global governance reform. Being that said, thank you once more for your insights. And I'm going to pass the floor to Mohammed Saqib. I think that's firstly, I'm gonna pass the floor to Samuel Spellman. I think that Mohammed Saqib just had a technical issue. So Professor Samuel Spellman, welcome to our BRICS panel. Professor Samuel Spellman, he is attorney at law, professor of international relations and political economy of China, focusing on multilateral banking and development initiatives. Director, Contemporary China MBA course, Pontifical Catholic University of Minas Gerais, Brazil. Professor Samuel Spellman, he is the director of Global Climate Change MBA course, and he is the Vice Director for Center for China and Global Studies at Pontifical Catholic University of Minas Gerais, Brazil, PUC Minas Gerais. I'm very honored to have you here on board together with us, Samuel. The floor is all yours. Welcome to this panel of development banks in the 8th conference of BRICS of the University of São Paulo. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ricardo. Can you hear me? Yes. Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Anyway, to everyone who is here, it is my pleasure to be sharing this floor with such a distinguished audience, but also with such honored panelists that are here with me. So today we're focusing, and this year, obviously, we're focusing on the main aspects that the BRICS initiative has been proposing to the world, but also we're focusing on what's about to change following the Kazan conference this week. So at this 8th panel, not actual panel, but 8th conference of the BRICS countries here at the University of São Paulo, our main task is to reflect upon what has changed in the last few years, but also what can we compare by using our common experiences as scholars, as political economists, as people in the private business, as colleagues, in order to bear and trust the future generations about what the BRICS initiative has achieved, but about also what we're proposing for the initiative. And I'm saying this because we are witnessing perhaps a partake of ways between some countries within the initiative, but also we still have a common agenda that we can build from the get-go. So maybe we should start by saying that every BRICS country that formed the region of the initiative could foresee some movement towards a BRICS Plus, or towards a multipolar world from way back when in 2009, when we first started all of this. This is the 16th conference of the BRICS countries, and this is also the 4th held in Russia. And yesterday I was talking to a few colleagues here at the AMSUR initiative, which is a think tank connected to the Workers' Party here in Brazil, and we were discussing privately about what are the main achievements, but also what is to come. And I'm highlighting this point because, well, the Russian president is hosting a wider audience this year. We are having over 30 candidates for joining the BRICS initiative this year, and we are also experiencing the first year that follows not only the amplification of the BRICS Plus as the start of maybe what will be following a multilateral institution, but also on the other way, we are witnessing an expansion of the NDB. So with that in mind, I would like to share a few comments about the comparative analysis that we can expose between the other bank, between the NDB, which the Professor Zhu delighted us with a great presentation about it, but also with the AAB, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, which is a particular interest of mine since my whole PhD was built on it. The AAB is basically what we may call a mirror image of the World Bank. It has up to 100 billion capital of authorized capital. Its subscription has reached up until 90 billion. So majority of part of it enabled the bank to be operational from the start. But this bank, differently from the NDB, has another characteristic. It has a very interesting audience that is involved within its creation. We have the European Union, or basically a great deal of the European Union sharing the same flaw with development in countries. We also have Canada, a G7 partner within its investors. Particularly, what we see from the bank is that after China and India, which hold the majority of the shareholder power, following both of them and Russia, we have Germany as one of the key shareholders, and following that, South Korea. So what we see here is a bank that at first was also very targeted by both the United States and Japanese questioning about the intentions of the bank. But what followed was that the practice of the bank from at the earliest stages enabled the bank to create an environment in that international finance that proposed a new way of financing that it may be wider at the start from the intentions of the World Bank. What I'm saying to you is that this bank may be at the sidelines of the geopolitical process that we are witnessing, that we're regularly talking, but it also stands at the center stage, just like the NDB. The NDB has taken since maybe 2023 a wider and more explicit geopolitical stance towards the transformation of the world into a multipolar system. But the AEB is right there. So there are two different approaches there I would like to highlight in my presentation here today. One is the financing, the direct financing towards specific political endeavors of the member countries that the NDBs has been taking. And this is a very important initiative because this is what is enabling directly the expansion and the expansion of tractatives, of financial tractatives between country to country experiences. We just witnessed that two examples of that, one from Senator Hussein and the other from Professor Zhu. But apart from this, what we need to see is that we are having more and more operations by using local currencies that also help to undermine the whole dollar system. So the expansion of multilateral financing by using local currencies or currencies that are easily tradable would enable the world system to move away from a dollar-centered system towards a more democratic way of multilateral financing. And to do that, we need more and more and more projects. We need approval of projects. This also would detach us from a state-centric understanding that all development processes should be state-led or should be state-guided. But what I'm proposing is that we should not only see the world financing of these mechanisms through a state lens, because evidently these partners are very interested in the development process of their own nations, and they are the leading guides of this whole process. But we should also, as President Xi Jinping said, mobilize private capital towards new endeavors. We should extract what can be extracted from these initiatives. And so the NDB, the Multilateral Development Bank that is doing this, is not properly the NDB alone, but the Asian Infrastructure and Investment Bank. So there are some core issues that go aligned together in this initiative, and by exposing this, I start to end my presentation here. What the AEB is proposing is that we should have a wider share of green assets in our portfolios of banks. We should have an amplification of human issues and social guarantees in these banks, in these financial banks. in these financial initiatives, and we should also lead small and medium-sized business in order to mobilize their own intentions of growth and towards the restriction of the local economies. We saw during the COVID pandemic the affectation of local and small business throughout Asia and throughout the entire world, actually, right? And the refinancing mechanisms that multilateral banks can contribute to these core initiatives should be underlined as a proposition or maybe as a hope that we can achieve our common growth agendas. Only through development we can achieve peace. Only through development, only through growth, then we can achieve the transformation of common people's lives. But to do that, we should also mobilize anyone that can be mobilized. We should erect all of these structures. And so I believe that both banks, both the New Development Bank and the AEB, can work not only together, but also taking a different approach to the same problem of development. And I believe that they are already doing it. One has taken the center stage as the leading BRICS bank, the leading BRICS proposer of agenda, but the other one is doing the last tranche. It's expanding its operations throughout the world. So what we witness is a bank that was first centered in Asia's development, but also expanding throughout the world. And to do that, we are already seeing that. We are seeing financing from the AEB in Minas Gerais. We are seeing that in Ecuador. We are seeing that in Panama. And it can only expand. Now the bank has 110 countries as members. So there may be that there is an option and a variety of initiatives that we can better implement by using all mechanisms that are available for international finance. So this may be the present of multilateral finance. And I thank you very much, Ricardo, for sharing the floor with me and for the invitation. Well, I was very glad when I received it, and maybe you can follow up with some questions as well from the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Samuel Spellman. Really enjoyed your speech in terms of what you told about what are the main achievements of these development banks, what are the next steps of these banks. And one thing that caught my attention specifically was when you mentioned about the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank in terms of having a wider share of green assets, the social guarantees, and also to spread the connection with the small and medium-sized business. Very insightful, especially because, for example, when you go online in the AIIB, the footprint that they want to share is about sustainability and also what they call the I4T, right? The infrastructure for tomorrow. So I really thank you for that. And I will pass the floor now to Mohamed Saqib. Mohamed Saqib, I had the pleasure to meet him at first in a BRICS Global Governance Summit, which was held in Moscow, in Russia, in September this year. And I was delighted and was honored to hear his speech there. I will read his resume. Mohamed Saqib is an economist based in New Delhi, India. His research areas are international economic relations, trade and foreign direct investment, and regional cooperation. Saqib has been a consultant to various government and international organizations such as the World Bank, the UNDP, the UNCTAD, EU, the ADB, the Investment Abu Dhabi, and various ministries of the government of India. He is the founder and governor of the Center of Geoeconomics for the Global South, a think tank that is based in United Arab Emirates. Besides Mr. Saqib, he is also the founder and the CEO of the Bureau of Research on Industry and Economic Fundamentals, an international social economic consulting company based in New Delhi in India. Also, the founder and Secretary General of the India-China Economic and Cultural Council, which is a think tank and business facilitation organization which promotes economic and cultural cooperation between India and China. So now I'm gonna pass the floor to the specialist, Mr. Saqib, to have and share his insights with us. Thank you very much for accepting this invitation, Mr. Saqib. Please just unmute so that we can all hear you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ricardo. I'm really happy and pleased to be in this session. But the bad part is that after listening to Mr. Mashahid Hussain, Mr. Ju, and your president, there's nothing left for me to say it. So maybe now I will not go that with a structured speech. What I thought I will talk to. Maybe I'll talk as a from the supply side of the development bank, that if I am a country or if I am an individual, what do I think of these development banks and the current existing system and all? I think that is something which has not been touched by any of three presentations. So I'll just talk about it. So don't mind if it is a little bit erratic here and there. Development banks are really important. They provide the kind of financing which commercial banks are not interested in giving it. And so they have been, a major part of development of developing countries, and even the developed countries, as Senator Mushahid said, they played a very, very important role. But unfortunately, as Senator said, that it has become a kind of a geopolitical tool for the West to use this institutions, and we are, I think, fortunate that way that BRICS have come into being, and now we have BRICS Bank and AIIB and some other banks which are really, for example, African Development Bank, which are based in developing countries and probably understand and fulfills the need of developing countries. Now, Mr. Ju said some very good things about new development bank. Maybe I'm not aware of it, maybe because he is in China and he is a very big scholar, he knows inside. But as far as I know, I think that NDB is just a cheap copy of the World Bank. They have been so lazy that they have not even tried to change any terms and conditions or the charter of the bank. And they are working, as I have been told, that they have been working the way World Banks works and all these things. Mr. G also mentioned that they are taking into account of the terms and standards and conditionality of a local countries where they lend. I think this is not the case, because local countries where they lend, they do not have any standards by which a bank can decide that it should be approved or not, because it has to be international standard for a bank to approve of it, or it has to be a BRICS standard or a Global South standard. A bank cannot really approve an individual country's thing. So I think actually there may be something, he said it, so there must be something which probably I do not understand. But for me, as of today, NDB is playing some role, but it has a much more scope than whatever it is doing now. The second thing is for the development bank, and especially now for NDB I'm talking about, that development banks, they have too much focus on infrastructure and large infrastructure projects. Yes, infrastructure and large infrastructure products are important for a country. But there are two sides of it. One is that these large infrastructure projects, it is for bank, it is easy, it is safe, it is less work to land it. So it is for them, it is a very, very good project and all. But for a developing country, these large infrastructure projects it is a double-edged sword, that they have the environmental consequences. So maybe you can have a dam which will do a lot of kind of a good for some farmers and all. But then you have a lot of people, the poor people will be displaced. So it works both way. And mostly the impact, negative impact of some of the projects I know have been much more than they the positive side of it. Not because the funding purpose was bad, but the conditionality which was put and which was taken from the institutions which were established in the developed countries were not really right. So what you need is that probably that, and I mean development banks like NDB, it has to be a kind of a funding, or any project has to be a tailor-made funding for a particular country, which is very, very important. And it has really not, maybe it is happening now. I'm not really know up to date what is happening, but this is one of the information that is required, that people have been talking, that now we are in a position having so Global South their own bank and institutions, that they can probably provide tailor-based funding for important projects without any negative consequences. The second thing is that, as I mentioned, that all these projects are infrastructure projects. So you have roads, you have bridges, you have ports, and all those things and all. But a lot of developing countries are suffering from lack of industrialization, lack of new industries, lack of diversification. There has to be focus on non-infrastructure product to develop for industrial development, for commercial activities also, which these development banks do not pay much attention to, and which is required. So you will have in India, for example, we have a huge development projects now, from funding from locally and otherwise. So we have so many roads building, but where they are leading, nobody knows. So road to nowhere. Because you have money for building roads, it looks politically very nice. It pleases some people on the way, but at the end of the day, the cost benefit ratio is much, not worth pursuing it and all. So probably banks like NDB should go beyond just merely funding only infrastructure or developmental project. They should look at the commercial lending also. The third thing is, as of our current situation, developing country is that probably beyond, even if the our second stage that you get money for the commercial development or industrial development and all, banks should go beyond money. They should have kind of a sort of a uh, kind of a training, imparting knowledge, disseminating knowledge, because they have lot of connections, they have lot of relationship, they have lot of capacity. So probably there has to be some sort of a provision of knowledge sharing, uh, innovative support for startups. That kind of activities also should be taken by new, development banks, because the commercial banks are too commercial that unless they see the return on it, they will not do it. And probably it should be the role of national development. The third thing is that I think, and I do not know to what extent it has happened, but there's a need for giving loans in local currency. So you get away with the process of having this exchange rate and all these things. So if you have a mixture of local currency and raising money also in local currency, like ADB had this masala bonds for India, or ruble bonds for Russia, that kind of thing has to be much more prevalent now, because I think we are on the cusp of new world economic order. And the institutions like BRICS and institutions under BRICS are going to be very, very important for the future. So I will just I think that there's a lot of refixing of the new development banks or new financial institutions are required. I mean, cannot go into details of everything and all. We should not copy or the financial institutions norms of the West. Otherwise, there is no point in having another institution and all. So what I would ideally want is that NDB-like organizations should work with the efficiency of the commercial banks, but with the terms and interest rate of development banks. That will be an ideal situation for the developing countries. Thank you so much, Ricardo, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mohammed Saqib. Actually, you gave me a very good idea. I will always let you be the last speakers in our events because you wrap all the discussion with great success. If Senator Mushahid Hussein, Professor Ju, and Professor Samuel allows me, you always be the last one, always insights. And this was completely out of the blue. There is something that was really insightful from your speech, was about the NDB, the New Development Bank, in which you mentioned that there must be a wider scope rather than what it has been doing right now, right? And your emphasis that these new development banks, not only the NDB, but also the IIB, should not copy the Western financial institutions. So with all that have been said, I really appreciate your time of all the four guests. And we do have several questions that we received not only in the YouTube link, but also by WhatsApp and by WeChat and other communication channels. The first one that I would like to address is quite a very tough question arising by the audience, which was done by Mr. Marcelo Farias, probably a Brazilian. His question is about Venezuela. So, with China's strong support for Venezuela entering into the bloc, what positive can it bring and insurance for the BRICS? Obviously, always thinking about its economic situation. And I finish my quote from Mr. Marcelo Farias. I guess that probably it would be suitable at first for Senator Mushahid Hussein. Would you be comfortable replying this question? Okay, so please unmute your phone first, and we would like to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, it's been a pleasure listening to these amazing analyses from different parts of the world and put together cumulatively. I think I would compliment you for putting a very strong, diverse and distinguished panel, which has provided us with unique insights and analysis and information. Thank you. I came to listen and learn, and I've learned a lot. Coming to this question, I would say that when we mentioned, I said the global center of gravity is shifting. BRICS is part of a pillar of this emerging alternate global order. It is not a rich man's club. It's not about how rich a country is or how poor is it and what does it bring to the table. So when I said that I talked to the 3 Ds, the democratization means a new order based on equality and reciprocity, not based on size or military strength or economic prowess. So Venezuela, Cuba are seen by many countries in the global south as symbols of resistance to Western or US domination. They are standing firm. So China is keen to have these countries on board. And you should know that Venezuela has two of his best friends in the world are China and Iran, by the way, and they are not in Latin America because of this geopolitical aspects. So geopolitics is driving it. The new power balance that is emerging is driving it. And the fact that we are looking at an alternate order to the US domination, economic and political order, by the way. So it's not just about geoeconomics, it's about geopolitics. And BRICS is one unique organization that straddles this divide between geoeconomics and geopolitics. So basically, you are seeing in a wholesome picture of the alternate, as I said, emerging global order, where countries which are going to be relevant. Now, if you look at the list of countries, finally, I like to say, there are 38 countries invited to today's conference in Kazan by President Putin, by Russia. Congo is one of them, Cuba is one of them, Kyrgyzstan is one of them, Laos is one of them. Now, these are countries which are small, which are poor, which maybe socioeconomic level development is a little low, but these and are representing the diversity, the unity and diversity of the emerging global south. So Venezuela fits that picture. That is why China is keen for Venezuela's membership for the larger picture of geopolitics. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. I think that also it would be important to hear the thoughts from the Brazilian side, because as we checked on the news, Brazil is quite resistant to accept Venezuela on board. So maybe I think that I will also address this question to Professor Samuel Spellman. Professor, can you contribute, adding some comments on what Senator Mushahid just said?
Yes, of course. I can hear me. Yeah, okay. So the Venezuelan question within the BRICS initiative is a very tough question, right? Actually, at first, Ricardo, thank you for the mediation. Yes, you're doing a terrific job while arranging the whole issue. And well, to comment on the Venezuelan question, we should also look at regional particularities. The expansion of BRICS has been dealt step by step over the last few years, with the initiative, of course, of some partners, especially China, as highlighted by Professor Zhu, since the Shaman Summit. But right now we are witnessing the possibility of a wide-ranging of new countries entering the congregation of states. So of course this has to do with the majority of the global south arising from basically from the standpoint of the sidelines of history. Right now, everyone can join together and enter the new age for development. But to do that, we need courage. We need regional understanding, but we also need courage. And some particular states will obviously have their own agendas, but their own regional issues. And these issues are very hard to deal with. There are diplomatic affairs within every particular crisis that we have facing, not only in South America, but also when we look at Africa or Asia. So this question should be dealt with the appropriate channels, but also with the mediation of other states that are also interested in the BRICS agenda. So I entirely agree with Senator Hussein's proposition that we are at the forefront of the world-changing event, and we should also receive minor partners. And with that, I'm not saying that Venezuela is a minor partner. I'm saying that Laos may be one, may be interpreted as one, because I am Brazilian and I'm far away from Laos, and I do not understand the local dynamics. But that may be false. So maybe that we are about to see that there are consequences to local arrangements, but there are also possibilities for ulterior endeavors. Questions that may be centered over issues of the electoral process or internal affairs should be dealt with time, with patience. But we should also remind us that all these questions will eventually disappear within the time frame of 2 to 5 years. So what is the gain to stop one country's entrance within the BRICS initiative, focuses only in the presentist agenda? We should look forward to what anyone can bring to the table. And I believe Venezuela has a lot to bring to the table. So that is my response. I don't know if you guys share my understanding, but anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Samuel Spellman. Actually, Brazil will chair the BRICS 2025, and a lot of things will happen in the next steps in terms of the BRICS Plus, right? due to the time constraint and also to the agenda of all the speakers, I will just offer a second question, which was provided in the YouTube link by Mr. Eric Justo. I guess that maybe Professor Chu from Fudan University would be suitable to answer this question. So, Professor Chu, the audience has just asked you, this shareholder method is very good, but I do have one question. How work the profit tax return when the new development bank send a credit amount to a BRICS Plus member? The continuation of this question is, taking into account that there is a well-divided shareholding, the division of profits also needs to be well divided between the countries, right? So this is the question addressed to Professor Ju, and if the specialist Mohammed Saqib and also Professor Samuel Spellman, if you want to add any comments, you're more than free to add after the comments to be provided by Professor Ju. The floor is all yours, Professor.
Yes, yeah, thank you. A very good question. I think the eco shareholding, how to see, this is, you know, this institutional design has its advantages and also its disadvantages, frankly. In my interview with BRICS New Development Bank staff, they told me that the eco shareholding, the advantage is that every country now think the NDB, the ownership, it's not belongs to one country. I mean, like the World Bank or ADB, we think that one dominant country has ownership, like the World Bank. The president always the Americans, and the Americans has a veto power, and the Asian Development Bank, the Japanese, the president always the Japanese, and the Japanese has the large shareholding. So the BRICS New Development Bank, it is eco shareholding. It's, as Mr. Senator said, the democratic international relations we are doing. It's not just talking, but it also has negative, the side. It also has its disadvantages. It means that if the 5 countries founding members, they have the different opinions, eco shareholding means everyone has a veto power. So if we can agree on everything, that's fine. Yeah, but if frankly in reality, that's very difficult. So efficiency for the bank is a problem compared with other multilateral development bank such as the AIIB. Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, BRICS countries, the 5, all are in the AIIB, but the AIIB is not eco shareholding. China has the largest, the shareholdings. It's more efficient. So, what do you want? Democracy or efficiency? Every coin has 2 sides. I think for the emerging economies, good news is that we can try the different way, so that we can tell the Bretton Woods, another way, is possible, or another way is not so beautiful. If you go, yeah, it's still I think for the Bretton Woods reform, we are trying the different way. So if the eco shareholding, doesn't work, then maybe we go back. So, anyway, in the global governance reform, we should try something new. That's the BRICS, why we are together. We are very different. We are very, far away, but we want to, the consensus is to push global governance reform. So we should try, to do something new. Yeah, that's, but everything new is not easy. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor Chu, for replying this question. Talking about efficiency, I think that maybe I will also would like to hear the thoughts of our specialist, Saqib. What do you think about this, Mohammed Saqib? Would you like to address or provide any additional comments in terms of the efficiency of the new development bank and the AIIB due to all your excellent explanation previously during your presentation? Please unmute your mic, please. Yeah, perfect.
Professor Chu is absolutely right. What he's saying is that, you want democracy or efficiency. I think at this stage, we cannot, developing countries of global south cannot afford to be democratic because there's a lot of chaos. And so that's why probably I think we will go by efficiency. There's no need for everybody to be enough. Within 5 people, it is possible that you have equal rights, and they are all emerging, mature economies and all. But once you have new members, and it is not about just being part of BRICS and those countries. Every country has a baggage of the past. They have other, associations and links which they can bring into, this system. So probably I think not equal weightage to every country is not really efficient. It's not going to work in global south. I don't think so. Yeah.
Thank you very much, my friend Saqib. It was, well, ladies and gentlemen, it was amazing. It was a very good experience to have specialists from Pakistan, from China, from Brazil, from India to share their insights. I do really appreciate the panelists, which took care, handled, and studied the topic well. Development Bank is a very wide topic, which we could stay the whole day discussing with all the insights and experience of our keynote speakers, but we do need to finish. But we will finish this panel. We also have several other interesting panels during this 8th BRICS conference, including the G20, the international cooperation and climate negotiations, the green economy, the reform of multilateral institutions, the internet governance, the inclusive multilateralism and global governance, the role of the BRICS Plus, and also the closing speech, which will be panels from today until October 25th. So please, if you have any doubts about the program, please access the website of BRICS USP, the BRICS study group at the University of São Paulo. And you can follow us at BRICS USP in the Instagram social media. I'm going to repeat, at BRICS USP at Instagram, besides LinkedIn and Facebook. You'll be more than welcome to join us and follow the trends in terms of the BRICS. BRICS is a hot topic, as you realize, and there is a lot to talk about this as it's gaining more muscles, gaining more power, and more voice to represent the global south. So I will finish this panel within 1 hour and 30 minutes as we were preparing. And thank you again for the audience for being with us. And for you, all specialists, you all have a good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Can't wait to watch the next panel, which is G20. G20 will begin within 45 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Ricardo.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Akib.
Thank
Thanks,
you all.
Juju. My
Thank
pleasure.
you.